multiverse of beer and music.
Hey everybody, welcome to the churning multiverse of beer and music. I am your host, Dr. Tangent. If this is your first time here, thanks for coming. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. Tonight we're exploring something fun, a little different, but rooted in some tradition. Tonight we are looking at Scent of a Lesser Stag. Some of you may recognize that turn of phrase. You may remember it from here.
You're a crazy little man.
Come on, Kate. I know you've been hiding some feelings for me.
Oh, yeah, nausea. If you don't get off my porch in 2 seconds, you're gonna know exactly how that feels.
Ooh. You like freaky stuff, huh? That's cool. Well, I can be naughty, too. Real freaky naughty. You a naughty freak?
You need some help leaving, White?
This doesn't concern you, Thor.
Not nearly as much as your hair does, that's for sure. But, I believe you asked to leave.
I get it. You've got the scent of a lesser stag in your nostrils. You've got the scent of a lesser stag in your nostrils. Pity. I'll let you have a little moment of Thor. Because after this tournament, your gym, your life, and your gal are gonna be mine. All mine. To be continued.
Oh! You don't get to touch me. Ever.
Okay, Romeo, let me help you up.
Get off of me! Don't you touch me! It is over between us, Kate. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody!
Well, at least that wasn't weird.
So that's part of the theme that's tying things together today. This is a beer from a brewery down in Kensington, Maryland, by the name of Baby Cat. This is a raspberry wheat ale. In fact, it says right on the can, ale brewed with a catload of fresh raspberries. The snozberries taste like snozberries. So you're kind of getting the vibe of the place. They like pop culture references, and they're a fun place. I've visited there, and it's really groovy. So what does Baby Cat have to say about this beer? They say, first and foremost, this is a wheat beer. So wheat beer is an ale that the grain bill consists of a goodly amount of wheat in addition to barley. This gives you a little sweeter result, more of a bread dough flavor to the malt backbone, typically. American wheat ales will have decent hop profiles, but not overbearing. Back to their description. Very creamy with a slight haze. We add a touch of raspberry at 2 different stages to give a perfect balance of flavor and color. So let's take a look. Yeehaw. Another not great pour. Never mind the cleanup. As you can see, it is a little pink. You're getting that color from the raspberries. You get a bit of an amber hue coming through. Amber with pink highlights. Pretty hazy. You can see the shadow of my hand moving a little bit there, but not a whole lot. Substantial head, rocky, a nice combination of large and small bubbles, but it is pretty quickly dissipating, but it is leaving some nice lacing. There we are. Ton of fresh raspberries on the nose up front. Slightest hint of a little floral hop essence. Yeah, between the raspberries and the hops, you don't get a whole lot of the malt backbone on the nose. Oh, but you get it on the palate. That's nice. That's really nice. You get a little bit of raspberry sweetness up front, followed pretty quickly by like fresh bread, maybe even a touch of honey. But then the tartness of the raspberries return towards the end, towards the back of the palate, and just a hint of hop bitterness on the finish. Finish is moderately sweet. It's not a super dry finish by any means. Not that I'd really expect one from a wheat ale. Wheat ales, you tend to get a decent amount of residual sweetness in the beer. And remember, you got to think about sweetness when we talk about beer differently than you would think about sweetness when we talk about candy or cakes or anything like that. When we say sweetness, we're not talking about an massively sweet tooth kind of yum. We're talking about a perception of sweetness that is predominantly caused by a residual amount of simple sugars that didn't get consumed during the fermentation process. Yeast not eating all of the sugars in there leaves the beer with a perception of sweetness and the more palate filling, mouth filling body that one would expect from, for in this example, a wheat ale. You expect something that's pretty good body, a medium bodied beer. And this provides it. Provides it really nicely. It is a very nice example of a raspberry wheat ale. If you like shandies, maybe you've had like Leinenkugel's summer shandy or something along those lines where it's lemon and wheat beer. This would be right up your alley, as long as you don't hate raspberries for some reason. So Baby Cat is a nice place to visit if you're ever down that way. It's near DC in Kensington, Maryland. They were born from a love of nature, pets, family, and beer. It's a very small place, kind of tucked behind a small strip plaza. But once you find it, it's great place. They're a little quirky, very, as you can tell, interested in pop culture. They even have a really interesting wall display that mesmerized me for most of the time that I was visiting. It's a large sign that has the little flippy characters like what you would see in an old time train station. And it will just randomly occasionally flip around. And sometimes it'll be some type of graphic representation. It might be a graphic representation of one of their beer labels. Sometimes it's sayings. But the thing that really caught my eye that was very, very Dr. Tangenty was this. That's a quote from Ellen Kushner, an American writer of fantasy novels, and that just did it for me. The place is also the home of the first annual Karuka Pool 8 National Championship. Now, if you've never heard of Karuka or Karuka Pool 8, it is an odd little pub game. Comes out of England. There's a link below to the husband and wife team that manufacture these things, these boards, but essentially it's a big round tabletop board that has 6 pockets around the edges and these discs that get arranged almost like on a billiard balls on a pool table, and you have a cue disc and you flick the disc to try to hit the other discs and knock them into one of the pockets that are on the edge. It's great for pubs because the entire board spins like a lazy Susan, so you can sit in one place and move the board to set up your shots. So that's pretty cool. In fact, the company's tagline is better than balls. So take that as you will. So, Scent of a Lesser Stag, Dodgeball. We're going to go with one of the songs off of the soundtrack from the movie that pairs really well with this beer. The band is funny. They've been described as offering a guileless take on adolescent alienation. They traffic in kicks, not catharsis, fun rather than rage. And I think that fits. That's actually from Rolling Stone article in 2007 talking about the band The Donnas. And here they are with arguably their most successful release. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's have some fun. Hi, folks. Normally, you would be watching the video that I was presenting in this episode. Great song, great video. It's called Take It Off by the Donnas. Unfortunately, in their infinite wisdom, Atlantic Music has blocked that video from being shared on YouTube. This isn't the first time this has happened to me. It's actually the third, even though I've only been producing YouTube content for a couple months now. The first, I kind of understood. It was a brand new song, so I kind of get it's their new music. The record company wants more control over how that video is presented, and they want to capture any options for monetization. The second time, it kind of irritated me, and you saw that in my tribute to Tony Bennett. This time, I just don't get it. Normally, you would be watching the video. I'd be, doing my little jam down in the corner, unobtrusive, and you'd be getting some interesting little factoids pop up telling you about how the band got started and who their influences are, and the fact that they're all self-taught musicians, and how that fact really impacted Terry Castellano, the drummer, who, because of a flawed drumming style, had to retire. But no, instead you're watching me vent. And, well, I just got to do it. I'm not going to not post this episode. I'm going to post this episode. And instead of getting to watch the cool stuff, you get to watch me. But definitely hit the link in the description below. See the original video. It's great. What I really don't get, the reason I'm so bent about this one is the song is 23 years old and the band broke up 8 years ago. Why is Atlantic Music blocking this when it serves no other purpose than to actually reintroduce people to the band. The band's been gone for 8 years. This song is 23 years old. There's a whole generation of kids that probably have never heard it. So, hey, Atlantic Music, why? Why are you doing this? Do with this information what you will, dear viewers. Thanks. Have a great day. So what'd you think of that? Come on, you got to give it up for them. That was the Donnas with Take It Off. Obviously, thematically, lyrically, not afraid to go where the guy bands go sexually. That was from 2002, arguably their most successful commercial release. It peaked at number 17 on the modern rock tracks in 2002. The Donnas formed young. They formed in 1993 while all four of the members were in high school, early in high school, actually. They're all from Palo Alto, California, and they're all self-taught, which ended up costing drummer Terry Castellano essentially her career. They're garage rock, punk, little metal. You saw their inspirations are pretty varied, even some classic rock in there. But they were originally named themselves Raggedy Ann. Then later on in high school, the Electrocutes. Clever play on words there. Towards the end of high school, they also formed the Donnas. Exact same members, renamed the band because they wanted to play some softer, poppier stuff than they played as the Electrocutes, but they didn't want to dilute the Electrocutes brand. The Electrocutes had a kind of metal queen image at that point in time. The Donnas caught the eye of a up-and-coming producer friend of the band, and they recorded a little bit and ended up getting booked on a tour of Japan. During their senior year in high school, they actually took a week off from high school to tour Japan as the Donnas. And when they came back, they did graduate high school, moved on to college, but major label signing was right around the corner, and all four band members dropped out of their first year of college to pursue a music career. Fun band, interesting band, definitely unafraid, definitely an interesting combination of sweet and hard, kind of like the sweet tart combination in a raspberry wheat ale. And like the raspberry wheat ale, they're a whole lot of fun. Definitely check out some of their other stuff. Links will be below. Easter eggs are below also. And never stop exploring. Keep an open mind. Try other things. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. If you do subscribe, hit that notification bell because I do put out new content every week, at least once a week. And don't be afraid to interact. You got something on your mind? Let me know in the comments below. If there's a beer that you are interested in, that you want my opinion on. Do you like a particular song and want to see what beer I would pair with it? Drop it in the comments. Do you have questions about the brewing process, craft beer, the nature of the craft beer market, what's going on in music these days? Anything. I love to interact. Drop me a line. Until then, keep drinking.